you won't find just in any home anymore. So in the end, you've got the perfect place.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Vershawn Jackson, the captain here for The Body Shop. And man, did they hook me up with a great massage recently. The captain has a lot of stress in his life, as many people do. And for 1 hour, it was all relief. The team at The Body Shop gave me a deep tissue massage that hit every area that I was in pain at. Whether you're looking for a Swedish massage, sports massage, deep tissue, hot stone, aroma, or more, there's only one place to go. The Body Shop at 48th NA. Book an appointment today at thebodyshop.com.
Attention all wing fans. 89-cent back on Tuesday at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is under new management, but has the same great service as before. If your current garage door seems outdated or isn't working properly, call their new number at 402-480-2840 to schedule service or get a new door ordered. Steve's can repair types of garage doors and can always point you in the right direction to get the job done. Give Steve's Garage Doors and Services a call today at 402-482-2840. That's 402-2840.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Next, you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Mary Ellen's. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Hold up.
That's right. Welcome in. A happy hump day to you and yours. Welcome in to On the Block. I'm Austin. He's Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA veteran Eric Strickland. If you're listening to us on terrestrial radio in the Lincoln area, be safe. The roads are getting slick. Hope you are warm. Hopefully you're indoors, able to take a day off of work or work from home. That would be ideal for those of you that are out and about, though. We appreciate you dialing us in. Focus on what we have to say. It's good stuff, but the roads come first. Give yourself some space. Give yourself some time. As always, On the Block brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Stop in to the restaurant at 27th and Pine Lake. Let Charles and his staff fix you a plate. Every sort of barbecued meat you can want. All the good sides. Mary Ellen's, it is the good stuff. Strick, how you doing? You all safe and warm at home today?
Stricky's in the building,
but
muted. Not literally, figuratively, mentally. Yeah, the snow is just starting to come down.
Strick, you're muted.
Oh. No, I'm not.
Okay, having issues hearing.
You got me?
You got me? Stream. He's there. You hear me?
Yeah,
I do not hear you. This is odd.
I just unmuted. You can't hear me?
Technical difficulties here on our end. We'll work through it for just a second here. Coming up here on the show, we'll talk some Nebraska hoops. A big one for the men tonight at home against Ohio State. Ohio State comes in on a skid. Not playing well. The Buckeyes are not, but they come to Lincoln With Zed Key back, he played against Rutgers. Big one for the Huskers tonight. And the women are on the road. They are playing against Purdue. And again, another big one for the women. All right, Strick, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hey, there we go. Now we got it.
There
yes,
we go.
welcome officially. Shout out Rico. All right, big one for Husker Hoops tonight against Ohio State. Ohio State comes in a little bit reeling. Nebraska still down Jawan Gary, but it looks like Sam Griesel should be back. Your early thoughts on Nebraska-Ohio State at PBA?
Well, yeah, you're right. Ohio State is kind of reeling a little bit. Nebraska comes in at 9-9, 2-5 in conference. Probably not the way that they would have liked to have seen it. But this is the battle of the bottom, right? If you're Nebraska, your goal coming into this year is to get out of the bottom, get out of the bottom 4 games, those entry-level games, to get back into the real tournament. Basically, if you do that, you're going to have to play 5 games or something like that in order to advance, which is never good, right? You always want to be at that top tier because you get that bye, and then you don't, you get, actually, I think you get a double bye. It's kind of nice how it works itself out. But the issue is that this team, you have them, they're on the ropes, they're struggling. They came off an overtime loss to a really good Rutgers team who handles their business both at home and on the road a little bit. I mean, they struggle a little bit more on the road than they do at home. But they're looking to rebound. So they're going to come in hungry. They feel that, this team is like caught into a web, or this team is caught in a trap, a bear trap, and they're kind of struggling to get loose and get free. But so they're going to come in with a lot of energy. They're going to come in looking to try to contain Derek Walker. Knowing that Griesel's coming back, they're going to have to try to figure out a way again. It's going to be the same conversation, Austin, and that's finding a way to create easier opportunities. And it's got to be either in the break, or it's got to be by some way of really taking advantage of Griesel and Walker in one-on-one opportunities where they're able to find guys. Right now, it's really tough. Sensabaugh is going to be tough coming in. Zed Key, Sean McNeil. They've got a solid group of guys. It's just for some reason they're struggling right now, and I'm sure they're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to get a handle on it. But I would give them a heavy dose of Griesel with a touch of a heavy dose of Walker with a touch of Griesel, and hopefully you can sprinkle in a little Tamanaga and you'll be able to get a win.
Looking at Ohio State's schedule, again, like you said, they're talented. I don't know if there's a huge star on that roster, but it's a lot of above average or good, solid players. They've lost by double digits to San Diego State to open up a multi-team event. That's a really good San Diego State team, but they respond by beating Cincinnati, who's improved, and then Texas Tech before they went on their slide. Ohio State beat them. Went to Cameron Indoor, lost by 9 to Duke in a back-and-forth game, lost by 5 to North Carolina. And then in conference play, they pulled out a win at home against Rutgers. The same guy that actually made the call at the end of Nebraska-Purdue. The game before that, he had that Ohio State-Rutgers game. A controversial call made it there. They sneak out a 1-point win at home against Rutgers. They lose by 4 on the road at Rutgers, their last game. They handle a good Northwestern team on the road. Northwestern is solid this year. They've taken a little bit of a step up. A dominant 16-point road win for the Buckeyes. They played Purdue close. They went to Maryland, played them within 7, but then the loss to Minnesota. That's the one that really puzzles me. Nebraska went to Minnesota and beat them, but Minnesota goes to the Value City Arena in Columbus and knocks off Ohio State. That's a head scratcher to me. That's one we don't see from Chris Holtmann-led teams all that often. And then, like I said, and you mentioned the road loss to Rutgers. You mentioned Sensabaugh. You mentioned Justice Sewing, another guy on the wing there. To me, those are the biggest issues for Nebraska. Zed Key in his couple games against Nebraska, he's had 7 points and 14 rebounds and 14 and 5. We know he's a big body, but I think Derek Walker at his best can at least match Zed Key.
Yeah.
Wing, though, Strick, is where I think Nebraska runs into problems. To me, that's where having Jawan Gary around to stick on one of those two guys would have been huge. They'll get their buckets. They're good players. But if Jawan Gary was there to make their life a little bit more difficult, I think that would have gone a long way, and to make him work on the opposite end, right? Because Juwan Gary is still a presence on offense. Yeah. But that leaves Denham Dawson as really Nebraska's only wing. Maybe you can slide CJ Wilshire up a position and try to guard one of those guys. I don't know if he's quite big enough to do it, tall enough. I mean, he's
not athletically enough. You're right. He's not athletically enough to do it. Yeah.
So hopefully Denham Dawson has a stellar defensive game tonight on one of those two guys, but that still leaves the other one. And that to me is the biggest mismatch that Ohio State brings in tonight, is those two wings.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, first of all, like you said, it's a head scratcher, right? You know, you have Sensabaugh, who's leading the team like 17-5. And then you've got to think about this team is also one of the most efficient offenses in the country. They're shooting like 47% from the field and 39% from three-point range. They're ranked fourth nationally in offensive efficiency, and they're one of 3 Big Ten teams that are ranked 6 in the top 6 nationally. So that's where it's kind of like you said, it's a head scratcher as to just how bad that they're playing. I don't know, if it's certain instances, it's certain time frames that they're struggling. But this team has been a winning program, 5 straight 20-win seasons that they've had, and made every NCAA tournament since Chris Holtman has been there. So it's kind of an odd thing, but it's going to be an interesting one, especially with the weather kind of being the way that it is right now, on and off snow. Hopefully it's snowing and it's quite cold in there for the Ohio State Buckeyes, for the Nebraska Cornhuskers to get off the schneid and get another win.
Another player I'm curious to see for Ohio State, he transferred from one OSU to another, is Isaac Likely. He started his career at Oklahoma State, moves over to Ohio State. Similar to Sam Griesel, not the exact same, a bigger body point guard. He's 6'5", 215, will handle the ball. But Likely is even less of a threat from the outside than Sam Griesel is. We haven't seen a whole lot of big guards that match up with Sam Griesel. I'm fascinated to see that matchup between Isaac Likely and Sam tonight.
Yeah, big body, definitely. Sam coming off an injury, like the injury that Sam has is not it's not one that just heals quite quickly, or it's a tough one. Anytime you're dealing with the hip flexor, that's one of those ones that it kind of it hinders your jumping ability, your quick twitch type movements, and your explosion. And that's going to be needed in the post. You need that. You got to kind of leverage and lean and bump and grind. And then you have to push off, and then you have to try to handle the ball. I'm going to be honest, like Austin, I think Keisei Tamanaga truly needs to be able to handle the ball. Right now, he is the only guy that I've seen that even better that he's shown. I thought it could have been Bandamil a little bit, but even more, I've seen he's really the only one that can create space and get his own shot. Off the dribble, off the pick and roll, coming off screens. He's able to probe, kind of get in, keep a guy on his hip, and get to a spot. I think they need to use that a little bit more, and not just let him just come off screens and not be effective without the ball.
How much of the reticence, the hesitancy from Fred Hoiberg to do that with Keisei Tominaga is just, you don't know what you're going to get. Like, to me, Keisei Tominaga is still just a wild card, possession by possession. I mean, when he's going good, things are awesome. It's fun to watch. He is an absolute spark, but you still never know. There's that element of unpredictability from Keisei that is good and bad. So to me, it feels almost like Fred Hoiberg isn't entirely comfortable with the unpredictability. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's worth noting. But at this point, right, you don't have a whole bunch of options. You're going to be like what they say the definition of insanity is. You're going to continue to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Right now, you're not getting results off what you're doing. You're not getting any consistency. It's a lot of hit or miss. Maybe allowing him to handle the ball a little bit more. I think also taking that away from Bandamil allows Bandamil to be more effectively just to be able to focus on his defense and his legs. That takes away from him a little bit from what he's able to do and be effective in. So he's really the only other guy other than Russell. I right now would trust Tamanaga a little bit more than Russell in that specific instance. Lawrence. I keep wanting to say, you know where I'm going.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not calling them a bust by any means. but yeah, that's the way I look at it.
The last thing before we quick touch on the women's game, again, they'll tip off at the same time, men against Ohio State, women against Purdue. Starting lineup, when we knew Juwan Gary was out, it looked like we were trending towards Wilhelm Breidenbach being that fill-in starter. With Sam Griesel out, then Denham Dawson jumped into the starting lineup as well. Sam Griesel's back, so to me, that tells me the most likely outcome is Wilhelm Breidenbach starts. Is that the way you would go, or do you throw Denham Dawson into the starting lineup and bring Wilhelm off the bench tonight?
I would probably bring Wilhelm off the bench. He struggled a little bit. He would close down space because right now he's not shooting the ball like very well. He is hit or miss also offensively, being that and defensively, because he fouls sometimes when you probably shouldn't be fouling, and he drives and does something when you probably shouldn't be doing that either. So it's like it's hard to say. I think Denham Dawson understands a little bit more what his role is. He'll attack the rim, and I like that about him because of his athleticism. But I would probably like the defensive look as opposed to the size and anything that Breidenbach would be able to bring.
Moving over to the women's side matchup in West Lafayette, a matchup of teams that are 3-4 in conference. The Nebraska women are on the road at Purdue. Strick, this to me is a big one for this women's team. They got off the schneid a week ago. They had lost 3 in a row before they beat Penn State. Then they welcome Ohio State to town. Play the Buckeyes tough, but ultimately end up falling. This is a team that I don't know how to make heads or tails of it. I don't know what we're going to see night to night, but if you look at the standings where Nebraska is, if they're going to, make a run, I think they have to bank this win on the road at Purdue, find a way to steal a tough one. You got a couple top 15 teams after that. This is a win that I think Nebraska women need in the worst way.
Yeah, I think so too, especially after Jazz Shelley had a terrible shooting night, against in their last against Ohio State in their last loss. Horrible shooting night. Probably one of the worst in her career, dang near a goose egg. And but then, she has almost a triple double against Penn State. So they're having this rocky road, topsy-turvy part to some of their stars and in their games as well. Alexis Markowski is she's pretty much got her 7th double-double by having 11 and 15. So they're able to kind of have some pieces there. I just don't know if they need to make a run. Let me just say this. They need to make a run. They got to be able to, like you said, put games in the bank, because right now it doesn't get any easier. The Big Ten is one of the toughest women's conferences, because if you don't bank this one on the road, you're going to come back to a mad and upset Maryland team that you basically knocked them off at their place. And then right after that, you hit the road to go to Iowa, which is you're dealing with 11 and 10 back to back. If you lose this one, it can start to look ugly for you going down the stretch, because it doesn't get any easier. Only you got Michigan State at home. Maybe you can get a couple there, but then you got Illinois and Michigan, and you follow back up with Iowa, then Illinois at Illinois. And it can get ugly really fast if you're not playing some of your best basketball. So we hope to get probably a little bit more out of Hybe coming off an injury. She's still trying to probably feel her way, kind of fit back into the rotation a little bit. But they're going to have to try to bank some games here, and this is one that they need to try to go out and get.
Absolutely it is. So both those games tip off at 6 o'clock tonight, Central Time. The women, again, in West Lafayette. So it's 7 Eastern, but 6 Central. The men, 6 Central here against Ohio State in Lincoln. What are we doing, Big Ten? Stop playing doubleheaders with the same teams. It's rude. It's unfair. Let us watch both games. But, hey, that's a tirade for another segment. Coming up on the show in the 3 o'clock hour, we'll talk a little NBA before we talk to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. But next segment, Strick, we got a special guest. Tell us about him.
Yeah, we're going to have T. Buchanan. Henry T. Buchanan played with the Huskers just prior to me arriving on campus. He was under I think he played for coach before Danny. My gosh, my mind just drew a blank again. And in some reason I went to Moiba, which is crazy. It's not Moiba.
It was Moiba right before.
It was Moiba?
Yep.
It was Mo?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right. Okay, I was right then. So he played for Iowa, and listen, T. Buchanan, I thought had one of the ugliest jumpers I've ever seen in my life, but he used to make them. It was like Reggie Miller. It was like who else? Jamal Wilkes. It was like one of the ugliest jumpers you ever seen, but he used to make them doggone things. T. Buchanan will be joining us. We'll talk a little bit about the Huskers when he comes, and we'll talk a little bit about just some of the history and hopefully being able to see if Fred can get it turned around.
There you have it. We'll talk to Henry T. Buchanan here on the block after this.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Tractor Supply has a new progressive pay model where team members receive 5 wage increases in the first 2 years of employment with the ability to earn up to $24 per hour. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days with both day and night shift schedules available. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beers, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8
You still at the house? I mean, it's not snowing here right now.
Save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
Yeah, it's not snowing here right now. It's
family owned and operated. Always the best value.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience with Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Oh, so they're saying
where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
So there must be something with there.
All of you for your continued support. We have just closed out another year. We want to start 2023 off with a bang. The new GMC and Chevrolet inventory continues.
And I'm looking at it.
Picking up my
so what they're waiting on is
interest rates continuing to climb. Koppel is partnering with General Motors and now offering 2.9% on select models. So we invite you to the dealership. Check us out online at koppelcars.com.
Right now,
all deals with approved credit.
It's thick.
The Empire brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel, and media blasts of all sorts. ESC is great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today.
It's moving away. I'm looking at it on the
9329.
So I'm going to send this to you.
Gaina Trucking is hiring
Lincoln
CDL
is where I work.
and B drivers.
You can see
Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team
no
culture makes it
right
a
now.
job
Just
and
picture
career.
that's
Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
It's just right now the thick of
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
A winter storm warning will be in effect throughout today as areas of sleet and freezing rain will be possible this morning, changing over to snow by this afternoon. Totals could approach 6 inches around the capital city. We'll see steady temps in the upper 20s to near 30 degrees. Snow will linger into tonight with lows falling off to around 20. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Nate on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We are on the block. I'm Austin. He's Strick. Not much more for me to say. Strick, you got the guest. You know him. Let's get right into it.
Henry T. Buchanan joining us on the block, former Husker, longtime player that I used to hate playing against in open gyms. He's somebody that I used to say, how is this sucker making this bucket on me right now? But they would come in the gym and give us a little bit of work.
Hey, Strick. Hey, man, we had to baptize everybody, man. Morgan Grieger and I, Kraft and all of us, we had to come up there, and all the players after us, man, we had to come up there and baptize y'all, man. And I know I didn't have the conventional jump shot, man, but it was, it's not the way it looks, man. It's the result of it, man. So I always knew how to find the bucket.
Exactly. It didn't look right, but it was efficient and effective, God darn it. Henry T. Buchanan, man, is
you weren't too shabby yourself, man. When I came up to the Devaney to play against you, I was like, oh man, I got to bring my lunch pail, man. I got to bring ibuprofen. I had to have it all, man. But it did thoroughly enjoy the competition, man, and hopefully we made you all better at that time.
Absolutely, man. It's truly good to have you on the show. Just wanted to talk about just some of the things that you've been able to see, observe, and watching the Huskers play this year, because being that you live in Phoenix now, you're a longtime Husker. You are in the mix of it. You guys always get together down there and chop it up. I've actually been to your house, so I got to see that your house gets laden with Husker gear and Husker paraphernalia all over the place. So I know you're Husker to the bone. So what have you been able to see on observing this team this year? And then we'll dig a little bit deeper after this. And, kind of what is your overall observation?
Well, I would tell you this, and I've said this, from the beginning, and watching these kids practice and things of that sort, I think they have a different mentality. They may not, man for man, I don't think they was as talented as the team they had last year with the 5-star and Bryce McGowan, and you had
Trey,
his brother, even though he was hurt most of the year, and you had a legitimate pure point guard. Well, I wouldn't say he was a point guard, but he was the point guard that we had, and great ball handler, and ran the show. And this year we have players. We had guys that plays both ends. We have guys that rebounds. We had guys that plays hard from start to finish. From an offensive standpoint, we may lack there, but I think we make that up in effort. One thing I can say about this team that I didn't, and the only thing I can do is compare from last year to this year, is that this team, they don't have any quit in them. They play until the last whistle is blown, and I enjoy watching them. Now, I would say, just from a standpoint of watching each game, and I analyze each game, and I watch how these kids perform, and I watch how they compete. With Sam at the point guard, a big point guard, 6'7", big body. We have Emmanuel Bandamule, and we also have Gary. That those three, the newcomers that have brought some leadership to the program and some defensive prowess. And I enjoy watching this team play. We've had some ups and downs this year, and we won. We don't won 2 tough games in the Big Ten, but the Big Ten, top to bottom, is the best in the country, in my opinion. Big 12 is giving us a run for our money, but the Big Ten is it's rough. I've watched almost every Big Ten game, and our team, we compete. Wilhelm is coming around. Tamanaga gives us, some offense from time to time, but I just like to see the team, some of the players, I would say, offensively, they can't just depend on offense. They got to give us something on the hustle side and some rebound and some tough defense. And Ohio State's tonight, and that's, Ohio State's been on the slide themselves. So I'm looking forward to the game tonight. And we got Penn State who's playing tough, Northwestern, everybody, Maryland. I mean, every team in the Big Ten are very competitive, and each and every game is going to be a dogfight. So I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season. But I'm pretty happy with what I see. I mean, of course, you want to see them win, and you get a little frustrated there. But as long as I'm seeing these kids put forth the effort and play tough, that's all you can ask for.
About the effort, that's one of the things that I always will give them a hand clap for, and I appreciate just being what we've come from and the work and the time that we put in. But also with that, they find themselves kind of on a slight slide. What are some of the missing things that you think that this team, if they had it, would be probably a little bit more successful? I have an idea of my thoughts. I've kind of laid it out there a little bit, but I would love to hear from another point guard to get an idea of what you're seeing on that part. What is the couple of pieces that are missing that if they had it, it could be a little bit different as far as the wins and losses?
Well, I would say they have it. I mean, I don't think they need the pieces. I just think it's the way and I'm not going to be a critic on the offense, but I'd like to see them do something different. We see Sam that brings the ball down. We walk the ball down and we make a couple of passes, and we see Sam backing down and looking for Walker or putting it up himself. And sometimes we see the other players standing and looking, so we stop the movement. The movement is great when the offense starts, but it seems like it slows down if we don't get the initial open shot or our first option, and then we revert to the Sam backing down and looking to score or dish it off to Walker or the open man. But what I would like to see with this team, and I think we do have it, I'd like to see them start moving the ball a little bit faster, run a little bit. I think we got the ability we rebound the ball very well. Yeah. But once we rebound, we walk it up. I like to see them push the ball. And I remember Coach Nee, and you can kind of vouch for yourself. Coach Nee would get the ball and push it and run. And because when you got the defense backpedaling, that's when you get your open shots. And with players like Tamanaga and CJ, what better way to get those two guys off by getting them open, running the sideline and looking for those open threes and setting it up quickly. And then you've got the secondary break when they come down. If you don't get the initial shot off, then you got the secondary break. You always got Walker, whoever rebounded, trailing, and maybe that person to get an open 15-footer or something like that. And it seems like that's a forgotten art. It seems like we depend on the threes and we depend on layups, but the mid-range is not there, and some of the creativity and scoring at all three levels, the three, the mid-range, and of course the layup. So I would like to see a little bit more of a faster pace with this team and at least give it a shot because I think teams have figured us out as far as the offense. And it's, I'm not saying we're easy guard, but once we get settled, I mean, we don't run the offense until like 10 seconds to go. And by the time it's 10 seconds, man, we're rushing it and we're not getting a good look. So I like to see them speed it up a little bit with this team. So, so what's your thoughts there, E?
Yeah, man, that's that's one of the things I say, the speed and the tempo of the game, even if it's pushing and probing. I think that's what's a lost thing about it. And the reason being, I understand what Coach Hoiberg probably is looking to accomplish after watching last year's team and so forth. There's a lack of discipline on shot selection and choice and things of that nature. So he wanted to rein that in. And in reining that in, it's eliminated an avenue or a way for you to accumulate and create easier buckets and opportunities. But then the other thing is, because of that, if you're going to walk the ball up, you're dealing in half court with some pretty good defensive teams, size like your Edie's and so forth and like that. And then in the meantime of that, You don't have 3 levels. So then, like you're saying, you're challenging shot blockers at the rim, which that stuff is getting tossed, or you're only shooting threes in which they're running you off. So you're having a problem there, which then I feel that you need to be able to create, because they don't have that 10-second to 0 guy that can break down the defense. They don't have it. They don't have a Verge. They don't have a McGowan's who can get a guy on that wing, break you down either for themselves or for someone else. They don't have that. They don't have a guy that can do that. And I think that's where, so we're speaking the same language.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I said, hey, just push it up and get your open guys, because, and you know yourself, Strick, is when you push the ball, you rebound and push that ball, the defense not only running with their back to you, then they turn around, they got to find their man. And about time, and then you pass the ball, not dribbling. I mean, Danny Nee would hey, we've been running the bleachers, man. If we try to put the ball up against the press, you pass the ball up on the break, and the open man, you take the shot. If you don't have the shot, you look for the trailer. If the trailer's not there, then you set your offense. But you got to do it quick. You got to do that within the first 5 to 6 seconds.
Facts. And
then if it isn't there, then you got time to set up your offense. But we cannot depend on. And you're right, Walker. He's an excellent post player, but he's still undersized. At 6'8", or 6'8", 6'9", going against 7'4", 6'10", 6'11", and every team has that big man in the middle. So sometimes he struggles to score, even though he's had his way with Edey, the 7'4", because of the lack of speed, and kudos to him, and playing Purdue without Sam and Gary, and we still competed with that team. And could imagine if we had Sam and Gary in that game, we might have been a different outcome, but we played them tough. But I just think we have to speed up the game with this team and take those open opportunities and get Tamanaga, DJ going early instead of us having to force shots. And because like you said, a lot of times we're running the offense, and by the time we get an open shot, we have to force it because we don't have so much time. You have to get that ball up. And CJ and Tamanaga is shooting more mid-range shots than I've seen him shoot in 2 years now.
Yeah.
And, man, we got to get that kid open.
Yeah, they're running them off. And another thing that's been lost, but we got to let you go. But we definitely want to have you back, man. I want to have you back probably as we get towards the tail end before we maybe get into some tournament action. But but one of the things that they're also missing, T, is putting real bodies on people when you're screening. I'm not talking about running by somebody. I'm not talking about just getting in the way. I'm talking about getting right next to somebody and putting a body on somebody to create a little more space, because they're just not able to get it any other way. That's just a thought.
Well, and you have to do that in practice. And Coach Nee, if we didn't do it, we ran. If you didn't put your body on somebody, you ran. If the ball went up and you wasn't putting your body on somebody between you and that basket, you ran. I mean, so it was instilled in us and that's the fundamentals of the game. And not only that, it just the extra hustle for a loose ball. I mean, let's see somebody dive on the ball every once in a while. And I'm not criticizing them, because a lot of those kids do it, but just sometimes there's a couple that maybe slack at that, or maybe just foot speed. I'm not sure. But I would say that, but I still love this team. I love the way he's coaching them. I love the way they're responding. The score might have indicated, but they're 9-9, and we got a couple wins in the Big Ten, and we got a few games left, and let's see what happens. And if we win tonight, and then after Ohio State, then we got Penn State coming, and I think we're in a good shape. We're in good shape. Northwestern, and then Maryland, and then we can pay back Illinois at Illinois. So I think we're in good shape, and we just gonna have to. Hopefully, Gary and Sam is healthy enough to play tonight. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything?
Well, I don't think Gary is. I think Sam may try to give it a go. He has a hip flexor. I think Gary's is a little bit more long term. I don't know if it's full season yet, but it's a little bit longer of an injury than he has. Something, I don't know. I can't remember if it's his shoulder, or his elbow, or something. It's something to do with his arm. So it's a little bit more.
Shoulder. It is
his shoulder. Yeah.
And that started before he came here, but he must have re-aggravated it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how serious it was. So, man, that'll be a tough loss there.
Yeah, Garrett's a tough one because he's one of those one dogs to have beside them that they need. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So,
T, thank you, man, for joining us on the block. Henry T. Buchanan, former Husker, point guard extraordinaire, kind of helped me to learn the game a little bit more as far as playing a guard position in the Big 8 Conference. Thank you, T, for joining us on the block. We hope to see you soon. We're 93.7 The Ticket, and we look forward to hearing back from you. 402-464-5685. You can always chime in there. We got Shootout with Strick coming next. We look forward to because the champ is here. Come on in. Come on in and tap in. Let's get it going. We'll be right back after this. 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Megan Whitaker from the Nebraska golf team. If you've put your clubs away for the winter, it's time to get them back out. There's no need to stop thanks to Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle is home to Lincoln's best indoor golf simulators. It's perfect for every level of golfer, with everything from casual games for the kids to hyper-realistic simulations of some of the best courses in the world. And the best part, no matter what the weather's doing outside, it's always golf weather inside. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
The best way to learn about Southeast Community College is to visit. And you can check out our spaces before you visit in person with a virtual campus tour. An opportunity to see our campuses in Beatrice, Lincoln, and Milford as you learn about our programs and areas of study. There are virtual tours of our learning centers too. We can even take you on a personalized virtual tour. Learn more on our website, southeast.edu/visit SCC. SCC, your path to possible.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and I'm back with Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, you said to me earlier you have a lot going on at the dealership. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Sure can, Charlie. As I've said before, if you don't see a vehicle on our lot that you're looking for, it's probably on its way soon.
So, how many new Hondas do you have in stock or on the way?
We have a total of over 325, Charlie, with a great selection of Pilots and Ridgelines in stock right now.
Well, we have been talking about the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars for several months. How is that going?
People love it. We're buying all makes and models, whether they purchase the car from us or not. I mean, really, it's a no hassle, and we will pay them cash on the same day.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
What are you doing, Sip? I thought the chickens could use some more light in their lives. So you're building what exactly? It's a motion-censored switchboard. Duh. Are you sure you know what you're doing? Of course. Ow! God! Ow! Seems like a job for a professional. Just one more wire. Yep, there you go, right there. Don't be like Sip. Call Joe at Ambition Electric for any of your electric needs at 402-217-3415.
You know, the year has been a great year for Aspen Builders. We have had many repeat customers, and we worked with a lot of new people building their dream home.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, and they've built neighborhoods in and around Lincoln for over 25 years.
It's amazing when you go through the building process. Okay, what do I need in this home? I need the 4 bedrooms. I need the walkout basement, or I need the big yard. It's fun to find that perfect lot, design the home, get everything that we need, and then we add those want things. We add the gourmet kitchen. We add the big walk-in pantry. What we try to do is balance a budget with things that you really need in the home, get items included in this home that you won't find just in any home anymore. So in the end, you've got the perfect place.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Let me share something to make life just a little easier. It's just one word, Bryant. If we need service on our furnace or AC, we call Bryant. Same thing goes for an electrical issue. If I have a problem with my faucet, a toilet, a drain, or a water heater, I don't need to know how to fix something. I just need to know who to call. And at our house, it's Bryant.
Bryant's Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Just one call. 467-1111. Remember, we do whatever it takes.
Start planning for the 2023 deer season at the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo. Join us Friday, January 20th through Sunday, January 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. There are informative hunting seminars, a blind giveaway, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a big buck and monster shed contest, 3D shoot, and a whole lot more. Veteran owned and operated. Get your tickets at NebraskaDeerAndGameExpo.com. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 20th through 22nd at the Lancaster Event Center in Lincoln. Presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
That's right. The game is Shootout with Strick. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. And you will not just be playing Eric Strickland. You'll be playing the champ. He's in the building.
I'm in the building, baby. Come on, Strick. Let's get a roll right now. We need to get on a roll. I need to go on a streak. I need about 7, 8 straight.
We need a competitor, Strick. Right now, I think people are scared.
No, we need a forfeit. We need a forfeit. It's the snow, baby. It's the snow. They don't want to chime in.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. Come on. Don't let the snow stop.
No one likes to play football in the snow games unless you're hard-headed, just a rough and rugged dude. You don't want to play. You don't want that bang bang. They don't want to come in and bang. They don't want to, get an elbow or a shiver. You know what I'm saying? They don't want me get a hit stick on them. They don't want that smoke.
They don't want it. They want to play in a dome. They want it air conditioned. That's not how it works.
That's the new generation, Austin. We used to play outside. We outside right now in the snow. We don't care. Let's go. But now everybody wants to be in the heat, and everybody wants to be with the glass backboards. Chain nets, baby. Let's go.
We believe we have someone on the line. We'll let Mark Patrick in just a second. So no forfeit today, Strick. Yeah, you got to earn it. You got to earn it today. The category is Husker women's basketball records. We had the men's basketball records yesterday. So today we will go to the women. Again, at 6 o'clock, both the Nebraska men and the women are in action. Big shout out to Mark Onweiler. Thank you for getting us Chad on the line here to play the shootout. Chad, can you hear us? Are you with us?
I'm here.
Excellent. Do you know the rules of the game, or do you like them laid out for you?
I remember.
Oh, you remember. You've played before. What's your record against Strick?
Probably 1-3.
You know what? I appreciate your honesty, Chad. I appreciate your honesty, because you could have got on here and gave some fake news, but you did good.
No fake news here.
My man.
That's what we like to hear. All right. With that in mind, Chad, hang on the line. Strick, if you're ready, we'll get going.
Let's do it.
All right. Shootout begins here in 3, 2, and 1. She scored the most points in a single game in team history. Karen Jennings or Mortice Ivy?
Ivy.
Nope, it's Jennings. She made the most threes in a single game. Natalie Romeo or Jazz Shelley?
Romeo.
Nope, it's Shelley. She's the career leader in assists. Lindsey Moore or Rachel Theriot?
Moore.
Yep. She has the best career shooting percentage. Pyra Arden or Kelsey Griffin?
Arden.
Yep. She scored her 1,000th career point for Nebraska earlier this month.
Jazz Shelley.
A good guess. It wasn't Australian. It's the other one. Izzy Bourne recently recorded her career point at Nebraska. A tough start, but you come back to put 2 on the board, Strick. So not the worst showing. Not the worst.
Dang it.
All right, Chad, 2 points to tie, 3 or more to win. How are you feeling about your chances?
Not good at all.
Okay, well, that's not the energy we want, but it's the energy we get. We'll get going with round 2 of the shootout here in 3, 2, and 1. She blocked the most career shots in team history. Danielle Page or Kate Kane?
Kane.
Yep. She recorded the most recent triple-double. Jazz Shelley or Kate Kane?
Jazz Shelley.
Yep. She has the most career rebounds. Janet Smith or Emily Cady?
Katie.
Nope, it's Smith. She scored the most points in team history. Jordan Hooper, Karen Jennings.
Jennings.
Yep, she has the most career points of any active Husker.
No clue.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
but when you gave 2 Jennings class, what kind of stuff is this, Austin? 2 Jennings questions? Man, it's a freaking conspiracy.
I also gave 2 Kate Kane questions, Strick. It's fair.
Conspiracy theories going on all on the block right now. Man, I'm about to tune out. I'm out of here.
Strick, I thought I set you up. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. All right. Oh, he's back. Thank goodness. I thought I set you up with Izzy Bourne. I thought you had that one.
Great job, Chad, man. You took me off the throne, man. Way to go.
Thanks.
Chad,
Good luck.
Chad, thanks for playing. Hold on the line. We'll get your information.
Oh,
Make sure you
man.
get your $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Strick, I thought these were fair. I thought those were more than fair.
2 Jennings questions and I don't get one of them? Conspiracies everywhere, man. I knew you was rolling with the other team. I thought we was partners, man. I'm out of here.
I'm sorry, Strick. I'll do better. We got tomorrow and get the champ back in the building.
I'm just messing with my guy. Austin, I love you, man. You're better than Nate, though. Nate used to cheat. I knew he was cheating. He used to send them the answers.
Yeah, no, I don't do any of that. I make everyone earn it here. That's the way it's supposed to be played, right? You got to earn it. No Google machine, no insider information, none of that here with me. That'll put a bow on hour 1 of On the Block. Busy hour 2 straight ahead. The bottom of the hour, we'll talk to Evan Blanda of the Omaha World Herald. Some football notes, maybe some baseball notes, as they're within a month from getting their season started. But to start the hour off, some NBA talk, maybe even some Kevin Warren. He's gone to the Bears. What does that mean for the Big Ten and Kevin Warren's future, the Bears' future as well? Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block. More of the show after this.
Every child has the ability to be successful and thrive in life, but sometimes they need your help. Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lincoln exists to help children unlock their potential by making meaningful matches between adult volunteers and young people. Right now, there are children just waiting for a mentor to step up and make an impact in their lives. Learn more online at bbbslincoln.org. There are kids right here in Lincoln waiting to get started. Volunteer today and start something big.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. It's basketball season, and that means you're fighting cold weather and snow to get to the arena, waiting for lines at the game, and yelling too much at the refs. Trek CBD has a variety of products that help calm me down during the game so I don't go over the top. And they have a variety of options to calm you down before, during, and after any game. Whether you're looking for drinkable Delta 8 seltzers, hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups for your beverages, or anything else, Trek CBD has it all at 84th and Andrew. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, wanting to say Happy New Year and thank you to all of you for your continued support. We have just closed out another outstanding year, and we want to start 2023 off with a bang. The new GMC and Chevrolet inventory continues to roll in, and I'll actually be picking up my 2023 GMC later this month. So with interest rates continuing to climb, Coppell is partnering with General Motors and now offering 2.9% APR on select models. So we invite you to the dealership. Check us out online at CoppellCars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and I'm back with Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, you said to me earlier you have a lot going on at the dealership. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Sure can, Charlie. As I've said before, if you don't see a vehicle on our lot that you're looking for, it's probably on its way soon.
So, how many new Hondas do you have in stock or on the way?
We have a total of over 325, Charlie, with a great selection of pilots and Ridgelines in stock right now.
Well, we have been talking about the Honda of Lincoln way of buying cars for several months. How is that going?
People love it. We're buying all makes and models, whether they purchase the car from us or not. I mean, really, it's a no hassle, and we will pay them cash on the same day.
Come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Joint pain can affect your quality of life and even be debilitating. Perhaps you've had trouble walking or even performing activities as simple as sitting down and standing up for years. There is good news thanks to QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics can assist with all types of pain in the knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints, whether due to an underlying chronic condition or a recent or even former accident or sports injury. Call QC Kinetics in Lincoln today at 402-205-4270 or go to qckinetics.com.
Shouldn't the landscape around your house reflect the architecture as well as the interior? Whether it's new construction or breathing life into an outdated landscape, let the teams at Tailored Landscapes, Tailored Lights, and Tailored Life combine as your local source for outdoor living. Schedule a meeting with one of our designers who listen during our consultations and combine your preferences, plus our experience to give you a timeless, sustainable, photo shoot-worthy landscape. Call us at 402-432-2572. Find us on any social media or at www.tailoredlandscapes.com, because when you find one company, you find the benefit of three. People first is more than a nice sentiment. At American Senior Benefits, it's the mission. If you're ready for a career where you can truly put your customers' needs ahead of everything else, this is for you. American Senior Benefits is one of the leading senior market insurance product distributors in the country, and they're looking for high-energy applicants with strong communication skills. Enjoy on-the-job training, a fun work environment, and unlimited income potential. Visit asbmidwest.com to learn more. American Senior Benefits.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Hold up.
That's right. Hour 2 on the block comes your way. Never a doubt. Strick and I talked during the break. We settled our differences. We're good from shootout. We've moved on. That's what being teammates is about, right? You get into it. You're competitive people. You both want to win. I'm supposed to be team caller, but I'm always team Strick. You're team Strick. You know, sometimes you go head to head. You get to the huddle, put the differences aside, you move on. That's where we're at.
That's exactly right. We're trying to just make light out of this day. It's just a miserable day outside. It's good that we didn't get the brunt of it. You know, I've been looking at the radars and been checking that out because just trying to make a decision as to whether or not I'm going to come to the game or not. It's going to depend on ice at that point, but it's just one of those days, Austin, where you're just kind of like, it's up in the air about how you're going to move and what you're going to do. And they've already canceled school. So that's unusual. That's what kind of scared me, was they canceled school. So normally when they cancel school in Nebraska, that means something. But it hasn't panned out yet the way that I would have thought it. I thought it would be a lot more accumulation out there.
Right. As I was driving in, it was still above freezing, just holding on at 33 or 34, but it's going to get down there sooner than later to where it freezes. And maybe that means snow, but at very least it means ice. So again, pump the brakes, be careful, slow down. If you don't have to go somewhere, don't. But if you do, make sure you get there safely, because we appreciate you, Blockheads. Thank you for tuning us in. We want to make sure you're around to hear all of the great content. And most importantly, the longer you're around, that means the more chances you have to visit Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Good stuff from Charles and the crew. As always, huge shout out to them for what they do on the show. We go to the
real quick. Yeah, go ahead. That's what I was going to do. Let's just hit it real quick. Go ahead.
Yep, I'm going to lay this one up for you because you can probably answer it better than I can. Starter Heyman, text line 402-464-5685. Chime in with your thoughts. Ryan and Friend asks, is Nebraska basketball even an NIT team at this point? Do we have a lot of work to do? Do you think we can make it to the NIT? Strick, go for it.
Well, one of the things that I in my response is they have enough quad one games. They have some good quad one wins. Yeah, and their schedule, their strength of schedule will help them tremendously, right? But the caveat to that is that they have to be close to, at, or above 500, and have to be, maybe just a few games under at worst. Because I looked at something, and gosh darn it, I've got it. Hold on, I could tell you, but I'll figure it out in a second. But one of the things that I've also learned is that right now there are some writers that have the Big Ten, and I'm going to get the writer because I had it, but they had the Big Ten as getting 10 teams in. Okay, that was the way that they projected it, and I thought I took a snap of it and who that was, that person that did it, but there was a projection out there where they're saying there's possibly 10 Big Ten teams. I think there was like 7 Big 12 and 7, I want to say SEC, and then it goes ACC, so forth and so forth down. So I thought this was a tremendous, if they're thinking like this, that was a tremendous opportunity for you to just, if you could do what I said you needed to do, and that was to get past that play-in segment. If they can do that, they could give themselves a chance with their quality of schedule wins and their strength of schedule. It could look good for them. Now, if they don't do that, there's just not going to be a chance. You've got to kind of show and prove that there's a reason for them to give you an opportunity to pop in there.
Right. So to that point, if 10 Big Ten teams make it, that's everyone that avoided that first day of the tournament. That's all 10 of those teams that are in right there, which is just kind of nuts to think about. The other thing too is the strength of schedule, those metrics, they mean something when you're already in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get into that conversation because of those metrics.
Right.
Those metrics are what keep you in the conversation once you've banked enough wins to get there. So if you look at those quad one games for Nebraska, if they had banked a couple more of them, say they were even, 5-5 in quad one games, then you have those 5 wins to hang your hat on, but then you can almost consider those other 5 losses quality losses like the committee does.
Right.
Or if you're, 7-3, 8-2, as long as you played those games close, they can be quote unquote quality losses. If you're anything less than 500, if you're 4-6, 3-7, 2-8 in those quad one games, that's not a starting point. You have to win enough games to earn quality losses. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. And there's nothing for me to add on to that, but you can on the Sauter Heyman touch line, 402-464-5685, if you would love to do so. But I don't have none of that because I basically agree with you. I basically forgot what you said about me and the way you was giving away the game against me. And now we're moved on and we're thinking on the same page. So
that we are. The other note on the schedule is this was hypothetically a year that Nebraska needed to, well, not hypothetically needed to take a step forward, but you would think the schedule would have, backed off a little bit. They wouldn't have been so aggressive. You look at what Kansas State was last year compared to this year. We didn't know when this got scheduled, when this came out, that Kansas State was going to be like this year one under Jerome Tang. That game, there's so much less shame in losing it the way that it went down based on how good Kansas State is this year. St. John's is always a tough match.
Big win in Manhattan. And just to think we probably were close to getting one of their stars who had 24-8 last night, which is Keontae Johnson. Man.
He would have made a difference.
But Keontae does at 6'6", 230 what I said we need. Somebody, if you had him and a Derek Walker type, now you got something, because you didn't have Greasel, but now you got to be able to hit shots. I'm still a little bit leery about them being able to hit shots. They've got guys that can break down the defense. They've got guys that are creating space and opportunity. They run a good system. And come on, bro, 83 points. In a lot of games, you look at some of the top tier teams, they're scoring in the upper 70s and 80s. Winning big games. You look at the Texas-Iowa State win, that Iowa State pulled out over Texas. Iowa State shocking everybody at 5-1 right now. I'm sure Fred Hoiberg, would love to be back in Hilton with the way that they're playing right now. But 78 to win that one. 70 for number 9 Tennessee. Number 19 Clemson gets up there, but gets clipped by Wake Forest at 87. Baylor 81. That's what I keep saying about Nebraska. Houston, the top team in the country, 80. You've got to get up there. To give yourself a chance, you've got to get up, and that goes back to what T. Buchanan was saying, is it's got to be the pace of play. They've got to get easier opportunities because they don't have a Keontae Johnson. They don't have a like him. They don't have a like him that can go get it. So that's why I think that they have to pick up the pace in order to give themselves a chance.
You can only add so much on defense before you lose too much on offense. Because I think about those really good prime Tony Bennett Virginia teams. They were, number one in the country, elite defensively. Wisconsin was up there in that conversation. That was a whole different level of elite defense. Nebraska's defense is better than its offense. It's a good to pretty good defense, but it's not elite. You can't sacrifice that much on offense to be pretty good on defense and still be that low on offense. You have to find ways to improve on the margins defensively while taking those big steps offensively. Nebraska doesn't have that. Here's another team I'll throw out there. A team like Houston and Marcus Sasser. He is an absolute bucket, walking bucket. He is a stud offensively. That's a really solid defensive team. I don't know if Virginia, obviously he would start because he's a talented player, but there are teams that would keep Marcus Sasser on their bench to, bring him off for that, spark plug scoring if they had a better defender. But when you can make that big of a gain in offense with a guy like Sasser and still be that good at 4 other positions on defense, Strick, that's when it all comes together.
Yeah, that's when a team like that is able to emerge and be the top dog in the country, because they've got a formula, and I love what he's been able to do there. He's basically said, we're not losing to Texas. We're not losing to Texas. Definitely not TCU. We're going to win it because right here in my own town, I'm not letting the best of the best get out of here. And then right up the road, I'm going and bringing them down here, and I'm giving them something that they can feel. So I love his approach. He's just like, look, I don't have to go too far. I got what I need right here in state. I'm just going to build them up. I'm going to give them a system. We're going to be defensive minded, and then we're going to run your butt off, and we're going to raise these bars and these numbers, and we're going to give you a game every night. You're going to either take it or leave it.
Back on Nebraska and what they need to do to be successful tonight and moving forward, they really have slowed it down to put some more of that emphasis on defense and on getting, as good a shots they can every possession. If you're going to do that, though, you have to be absolutely elite in your execution on that end. Nebraska's pretty good, but again, doesn't have, like you said, that last 10-second guy. Plain and simple, they don't. We talked before Purdue, when we thought Sam Griesel was playing, about how he's not really a push and probe point guard, right? He's a back you down into the post, operate out of their type of point guard. Fred Hoiberg last season made that decision to slow the offense down, to focus more on defense and rebounding, because there were a lot of quick shots, a lot of bad shots from guys. But now there's basically nothing in transition for Nebraska if it's not a steal or a deflection. So, Strick, what's that balance between pushing and looking for a good shot, but if it's not there, backing it out and then trying to run a set? Where does Nebraska struggle in that?
Well, you have to be able to trust, but this is the dilemma that you have if you're a coach and you find yourself in a hot seat position. You're trying to rein in, readjust, and change the landscape of what was. And really, when you came in, you laid out the groundwork of what your team was going to be, and that was that. Mm-hmm. And no one liked it because you didn't have shooters that can fulfill that style of play. Mm-hmm. So being that you could not fulfill that style of play, you then find yourself trying to rein it in by slowing the game down, making sure that you get a good shot and still focus on. I think you have to kind of shift the needle a little bit to make sure that you're doing what's best for the team to be successful. And I think that encompasses that. like I said, with us and Danny Nee, it didn't matter who got the ball, other than the big man, other than like Mikey Moore or Bernard Gardner. Every now and then, even Bernard Gardner could bring it up. Every now and then, Vincent Hamilton could take it to a position. They didn't like him going all the way. They weren't Nikola Jokic's and Giannis Antetokounmpo. They weren't them, but they were a couple power dribbles out, boom, and then we were boom, and then it was either me. It was either me, starting it, and then it was either me, Pike, Badge, sometimes Jerron. We get that thing, and we're 1-2 to the rim, or 1-2 in, find a Pike at the other end because I'm by you. I'm on a run full speed with strength to the basket, and Pike is going weak side, corner or wing, or somebody like that, Jamar or somebody, and then boom, and then you're either got that shot or it's a run out shot fake into the next one, and then you have Mikey Moore or somebody trailing behind for a dump off dunk. That's how it was. We ran it like that. It was a consistent system. Whoever got that ball, we was out. And then if we didn't have nothing, we got into something secondary. And we were disciplined with that. That's what he's got to command it. He's got to demand it. But they've got to do something like that, because otherwise you can't play a half court offense with nobody that has breakdown capabilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And regardless of the style of play on offense or defense, whether you're, the 7 seconds or less Suns or the bad boy Pistons, whether you're, Tony Bennett, Virginia, or your Greg McDermott at Creighton, the easiest opportunities in basketball are in transition. When you have numbers, when you on offense can be at full speed going toward your end of the court and the defense is on their heels backpedaling at a numbers disadvantage. You plain and simple have to hunt those opportunities. They're the easiest points in basketball. I don't care if Nebraska isn't the most athletic team out there. They don't have a lot of high flyers. There's not going to be a whole lot of poster dunks from anyone like that, but you don't necessarily need that transition, right? You can be just as successful in transition with brains, with fundamentals, with getting that spacing in transition, with filling those lanes. Either if you're a shooter, kick out to the wings or the corners, you're a big guy, get downhill, run your butt block to block. You don't have to, be the most athletic team to be good in transition. It just feels like there's too much breaking for Nebraska. They're too slow.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, like you said, when they don't have anyone that can break someone down off the dribble, or they're not going to be elite in their half-court execution.
You know how many tip dunks that Bernard Gardner, Mikey Moore, and Vincent Hamilton had just probably because we pushed? Even if we missed the layup because they were running, like you said, block to block, they were still not missed opportunities. So here's the thing. Even if that was the case, the success you had against Purdue was your defensive prowess. You still did the same thing against Zach Edey in that game. You held him, which most teams, you just go look at a few games ago, 34 or something, you getting buckets, right? Career high and a no double drop off to basically take the lead, which was crazy to me. I couldn't believe they let him go one-on-one. But anyway, here's the situation. What you just said, Austin, I would have tested my theory against Purdue. One, Painter is a good enough coach that they watch enough film, they're not going to give you an opportunity to do the same thing you did to them. Even though you had some success, your double teams were strong, you still got the brakes beat off of you, right? But if you run Zach Edey into the ground, I understand Derek Walker can't do it himself, but sure can Breidenbach and anybody else that they put in there. You need to be running his legs. He needs to be tired so that he doesn't have anything left in his tank when he gets to the fourth quarter. You make him run. And guess what? He's not effective if he's running up and down the court instead of just sitting in the freaking paint where you can't get to, and you're not a mid-round range shooting team. So you don't do that. So you're either settling for three or you're getting blocked, or you're taking challenge shots at the rim. So I would have thrown it out there in that game if I would have had the opportunity. I would have been one of those. I would have tested it because you needed it in that situation against the Purdue team.
It was your advantage, and you gave it away because you wanted to be something that, plain and simple, you can't be. Let me ask you this too, Strick. So if you look at that starting lineup for Nebraska that we don't have announced yet, but that we assume is going to be out there: Griesel, Bandemel, Wilshire, Breidenbach, and Walker. Fred Hoiberg has said, Adam Howard, the guy who's coordinating a lot of the defense, has shown that he wants that group of starters to slow it down, to execute in the half court, to play good defense. Off the bench, then, you bring in Jamarcus Lawrence, you bring in Denham Dawson, you bring in Keisei Tominaga. That's probably a more athletic and a faster lineup than what Nebraska has. Can Nebraska get away with playing two styles, depending on who's on the court? Can that bench speed things up in their minutes and then have the starters slow things back down? Or is that too big an adjustment for the other guys on the court?
That's a great question. I think this team is smart enough to be able to do that, to understand the change. Like, it would be no different than some of the teams I played with where we ran because we had Dirk and we had me and Nash and Finley. And but there were times where we slowed it down because we wanted to take advantage of Sean Bradley's size and height, and whether it be his ability to pass over double teams or whatever, or maybe to get into pick and rolls and use him as a threat. So there were times when we would do that. But what I would say is, if you're going to do that, you've got to be quite cerebral, because I was a change of pace guy. So when I came in, everybody know, get ready, because we about to this thing is moving quickly. Rob Pack, who was my teammate, we are pace guys. So when you see us in the game, they get to flying. You see what I'm saying? And I think at times I love the fact that when Steve Nash and I played together, we whoever got it for us was out. So if I got it, I knew that if I could get deep enough, that I could create an easy opportunity for Steve. And then same thing with Steve, because Steve is a tremendous push pro guy himself. And so those were the things that you cerebrally have to be able to make the adjustments to. I think this team is smart enough to do it, but that's still yet to be seen, because they haven't made any changes in that department yet.
Right. Is it easier to play basketball in transition too? Because I think about those guys you would bring off the bench, like a Jamarcus Lawrence, like a Denham Dawson, who I think are still to some extent learning the speed of the college game, learning the sets and how to operate in the half court. If you loosen the reins a little bit and let them run, I think it'd be better, number one, for their athletic profile. But in terms of learning the game, do you think that getting them out in transition would help them to learn quicker, at least from a confidence standpoint?
No, well, there you go. Not necessarily from a game standpoint, but from a confidence standpoint, because it's less thought.
Sure.
It's more reaction, and you train in reaction a lot, especially in your earlier times. You train in reaction. Okay, if somebody's trailing me, okay, I know that if I get this ball, if this guy's playing this way, he's curl. It's not really an overthought. It's like it's a reaction to what the guy is doing. Those two guys seem to play a little bit better. You start to see a little hint of it from Jamarcus, but Denham is a response guy, and he needs to get those open court opportunities with a one-on-one, with Euro steps, with his strength and physicality, with his leaping ability. They need to be able to get him out there, and there's a few more that are the same way. Keita is not a back to the basket guy. He needs to probably catch the ball in a situation where he's running to the middle of the paint, you get it to him, and then he can do something with it. So Derek Walker is the same way. Get him out in the open. Get it to him in the wing. Let him be able to then do what he do without four guys looking in his face and waiting on him to do something and jump on him. So, yeah.
The thing with Walker is he's played enough college basketball and he's shown the skill set to be able to do both, where he's proven he can play from the high post or with his back to the basket in the half court. But again, think about that Florida State game. Nebraska used him to bring the ball up the floor. He can dribble. He's not the tallest guy, but he can still move.
Yeah.
That's his advantage over someone like Edey, over someone like Danger from Illinois, maybe even over Zed Key tonight. So there are ways I think Nebraska can use these guys a little differently. We'll keep this conversation going, also talk some football, even some Husker baseball, as that's right around the corner with our next guest. We'll talk to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald after this.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Let me share something to make life just a little easier. It's just one word, Bryant. If we need service on our furnace or AC, we call Bryant. Same thing goes for an electrical issue. If I have a problem with my faucet, a toilet, a drain, or a water heater, I don't need to know how to fix something. I just need to know who to call. And at our house, it's Bryant.
Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Just one call. 467-1111. Remember, we do whatever it takes.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hair loss and thinning is chronic, progressive, and frustrating. What we know is that the earlier it's diagnosed and treated aggressively, the better the long-term results. QC Kinetics offers a unique and comprehensive approach to restoring and improving hair follicle density and hair thickness. The majority of hair loss can be managed medically without the need for surgery. Their multifaceted approach to hair restoration allows them to help you improve both the appearance and thickness of your hair. Call QC Kinetics in Lincoln today at 402-205-4270 or go to QCkinetics.com.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings. Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rolling right along here on the block on a Wednesday afternoon. That means it's time to talk to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Also the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685 if you have thoughts. Evan, we'll jump off with Husker football. A couple additions to the roster this week from different places. We'll start on the defensive side of the ball with outside linebacker MJ Sherman, a Georgia commit. championship pedigree. We saw that from a couple players last year. Nebraska gets Stephon Wynn from Alabama, who played, didn't make a huge impact, but was at least on the field. Kane Williams, a young guy in the defensive backfield. My hope for MJ Sherman is he comes in and makes the most immediate impact in the pass rush. Do you think that's where Nebraska sees him fitting in?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. He's got the pedigree, like you mentioned, former 5-star kid out of high school, had all the offers, and was a key cog for Georgia on that special teams unit. But you look at just the roster that they have and the guys they have coming back next year, and it's no wonder that it's hard to carve out much time as an edge or an outside backer. So he'll absolutely have that opportunity at Nebraska where, as everybody knows, their leading producers are gone and moved on. Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner, O'Shawn Mathis. So you would think that Sherman would have a chance to jump in and take off. And he has what I think is a pretty interesting mix of athletic ability where, in high school, I think he had like a 4.5 40. I mean, elite high level speed. He's grown into his frame. He's closer to, or at least listed at around 250 pounds now. So, can he sort of get down in the trenches and stop the run? Can he drop back into coverage if necessary? What does that look like for him? A really intriguing just skill set athletically that you would think would fit right into what Tony White wants to do in that 3-3-5. So, absolutely. When you can have a chance to get somebody who is as accomplished as Sherman was, and he was considered one of the top 5 high school linebackers in his class, coming out, it's a little bit of a different situation than maybe some of the transfers Nebraska's had from bigger name programs before. They've added guys from Alabama and some other major programs that haven't necessarily played out. But I think, again, his mix of ability with sort of the situation he was leaving at Georgia, with the needs that Nebraska has all sort of come together. And, you listen to him do some interviews and just his personal story as a guy, who grew up in the Baltimore area. His dad's a senator in Liberia trying to push social causes. So he's a bright kid too, if you hear him talk. And you put all that together and absolutely that's someone who should be in the mix right away for Nebraska on the defensive side.
You hear the way his old coach Kirby Smart talked about him too. I think that just adds another layer to it. On the offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver room, 2 additions of names we know. Xavier Betts comes back. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda comes back. What do you make of those 2 additions and Matt Rule's role in bringing those guys back into the fold?
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, Betts, I don't think was really on anybody's radar a month ago. When he left the team in March, it sounded like he was done with the sport. Maybe football wasn't front and center in his mind at that time. And so for him to resurface now with this new staff is fascinating. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is sort of a similar story, having redshirted in the middle of that last season. He played the 4 games, kept his red shirt and left. So I suppose when you look back at the books, when it's all said and done, both of those guys redshirted, quote unquote, this past year, and they continue on. It sort of reminds me a little bit of stuff that you see sometimes in professional leagues or teams, where a team maybe will take a chance on somebody if they have a really strong culture in bringing somebody in and sort of setting the standard and the expectation. And I wonder if, especially with Betts, that might be the sort of thing that happens now with this staff that's really about player development and person development. If they brought Xavier back to be better at both, be a better student, be a better player, all that sort of thing. Clearly they reached some kind of understanding. I mean, he's officially back on the online roster for Huskers.com. So, he is back on the team. And then Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is an interesting one to me too, because we don't really know kind of what his last few months have been like. I mean, we don't really have a sense for what other offers he may have had to go elsewhere, if he intended to return, when he intended to come back to Nebraska. I mean, he was somebody else who, I think when he entered the portal in September, there really wasn't much of a thought that he could end up back in Lincoln. So 2 guys who add to a room that's resetting yet again, right? I mean, you have Marcus Washington, Alante Brown is returning producers, but everything else is going to be a bunch of new faces, whether that's young guys who are on the team, whether that's Josh Fleeks from Baylor or Billy Kemp from Virginia, just a lot of new faces to put in the mix, and I suppose you can count Betts and Garcia Castaneda in that group. In a position group that I think is defined by, it's sort of a blend of different abilities. You got guys who are a little bit shorter and maybe shiftier, like Kemp. You have guys like Betts who have some straight line speed. Marcus Washington kind of showed a little bit of everything last year, so it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together here starting this spring.
You look at that wide receiver room as well, coached by Garrett McGuire. He's basically these guys' age. I know a lot's been made of that, but if you look at, Betts and Garcia Castaneda coming back into the fold, they already know guys like Alante Brown and like Marcus Washington. I know we won't know till we get in the season, but do you think in that situation, Garrett McGuire's age could help him connect with those guys in that similar station of life? Or do you think he'll be relying a lot on someone like a Kemp or a Fleeks in that room to help him connect with those guys and help guide him through?
I think it could be a blend of both. There probably will be some times when he could relate to these guys on a personal level. I know Billy Kemp, this will be his 6th college season. Yeah. He's a year younger right now than Garrett McGuire is. Like, that's sort of the dynamic that you have. But, you look at the staff that Matt Rule's putting together in terms of the quality control folks and the analysts and the behind the scenes people. There are a number of more veteran coaches in that room too. So I don't expect that this is going to be Garrett McGuire sort of on his own without much support. I think you'll see Matt Rule around. You'll see Marcus Satterfield, the OC, around. So he'll have some help there as well. But I do think it was important for Nebraska to bring in some sort of veteran playmakers, especially, a guy like Fleeks who played under Rule for a couple of years and sort of is willing to spread the gospel, spread the good news about just how things can turn around if you buy into what he's doing and saying. And, Kemp is the same sort of deal, a veteran, almost 200 career catches. This is somebody who won't be intimidated by the big stage. And so I think those guys in particular, you could add Marcus Washington to that group as a senior, will be valuable when you look at some of these other players coming back, whether that's Garcia Castaneda, whether that's Betts, who's still a pretty young player. And again, they have a lot of other, I think, interesting pieces that we'll sort of start to figure out as the season gets going in the fall, when you get Malachi Coleman on campus and some of the other folks, who signed. So it's been tough, right? You think about Nebraska's receiver room the last few years, it feels like it's reset dramatically every year. I mean, they've changed position coaches for a few years in a row now. They've relied on the portal, and they've actually had some success with Samori Toure and Trey Palmer. So we'll see if they can keep that going. But you'd like at some point for there to be a little bit of stability and consistency. And, while a lot of these guys will be in the room for just 1 year, I think they would tell you that if they can help set a standard that can be built upon in future years, that would be considered a success.
The big conversation is all going to be about who's going to be wide receiver number 1, who gets the most targets, catches, yards, whatever. Who gets jersey number 2? Tommy Hill switched over to offense after Isaiah Garcia Castaneda left, took jersey number 2. Is there a fight for that jersey number now?
Maybe. I mean, I think I read about Matt Rule that at previous stops, like certain guys that exhibited, I mean, you have to earn it somehow. Like players can earn the ability to pick their numbers. I don't know if that's going to carry over to Nebraska or not, but I think that's sort of an interesting concept where, in theory, you could have a whole number of different guys sort of earn that right to pick a number. I don't know. What's the cool number? Is 2 a cool number? I suppose it seems sort of cool.
I don't know what's a cool number or not a cool number. I never wore number 2 personally. I flipped that around and wore 5. Is Strick 2 a cool number in your estimation?
I mean, to me, a cool number is a number that I wore. So I don't know what a cool number is. My football number was 6. So then my basketball numbers were 20 and 21. So obviously as a receiver, those lower numbers seem to be more cool than the higher numbers. That's my thought.
Yeah, and there's a 2 and 20. There's a 2 and 21. It's at least in there somewhere. So if Strick wore it, it's cool enough for me. As we're talking here with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, we're about a month out from Husker baseball starting, and everyone's going to need to wear name tags. It's a good thing the jerseys are on the back of those uniforms because, my goodness, we know the roster turnover. But let's focus on the guys who are back. To me, there are 4 that while you can't Sharpie anyone in after a disappointing season, basically across the board last year, I still think there are some building blocks. You look at Max Anderson, you look at Bryce Matthews, Griffin Everett, and Garrett Anglim coming back. Are those the 4 guys that you feel best about having starting day spots in that lineup?
In the lineup, yeah, I would agree with that. I think most of the outfield could potentially be totally different. You'll probably see Garrett Anglim out there, but you're going to see a lot of faces there. The infield, certainly the same way. Josh Caron, I think, will get a lot of time at catcher. He was on the team last year, but he wasn't a regular starter. So yeah, I think that's fair. Griffin Everett was someone who could have moved on after last year. And so there's a lot of value in having a guy who can be your designated hitter, who can catch, who can play a little first base, even if he needs to. That's somebody that you like. When you mentioned Max Anderson and Bryce Matthews, those guys have played all over the infield, are pretty flexible. This is their draft eligible year. So there's certainly some motivation for them to show what they can do. So yeah, I think that's probably a good starting spot. And then, on the pitching side, quite honestly, there's a lot of turnover as well. I mean, you're going to be relying on transfers like Jace Kaminska in the rotation. You essentially don't have a closer, anyone who has at least had experience in that role on the team. And then I think really the holdover that people will recognize as probably a rotation guy would be Emmett Olson, who really came on late last year. He kind of sneakily became one of the better pitchers in the Big Ten in the second half of the season. So to me, when you look at the outlook of this team, it picks up where last year left off, which is, I think the strength is going to be the pitching. They appear to have a lot of depth there. And they needed that last year with the injuries. But the big question to me is, man, what do you do about the offense? How much better can that thing get? Because in a climate of college baseball where power took off and run scoring escalated, Nebraska had its worst offensive showing by a lot of metrics in decades. And so how do you generate those runs? Do you try to lean in more on home run power? Do you try to go back to the small ball route with stolen bases and bunting and things of that nature? But that to me is the first thing I'm looking at in terms of how does Nebraska go from missing its own conference tournament last year to where it was 2 years ago, contending for a league championship and for a postseason berth.
As you watched that offense last year, was it a lack of talent or bad approach for the most part?
Probably a little bit of all of that. College baseball, there's so much momentum that goes into that. Like when you talk about hitting being contagious, and it just never really picked up for Nebraska. I thought they were really optimistic around this time last year with their lineup about being a power group. They said, they were going to swap out some of the bunting and small ball approach to try to be more of a doubles hitting team and power in the gaps sort of group. And it just didn't happen. There were a lot of strikeouts, a lot of pop-ups. There wasn't a lot of dynamic ability in that lineup. And I think that's especially important in a league like the Big Ten, where you're going to have these games when it's going to be bad weather. It's going to be cold. It'll be rainy. It'll be, whatever. And you're not just going to be able to swing away. You're going to have to find other ways to generate offense. And I just don't know that they were able to do that. So I'll be curious to see, again, if you can be versatile in the way that you score. And they've added some pieces that can do that. I think Casey Burnham's an interesting guy in the outfield. He sort of reminds me a little bit of Jackson Hallmark in terms of his speed power blend. You hear Bryce Hughes' name a lot. He's a junior college transfer who's probably going to be a middle infielder, and a number of other guys too. But you look at the schedule too, and these first 3 weeks, in my opinion, are really critical in terms of setting that RPI baseline and beginning to craft that postseason resume. When you go to San Diego, you go to South Alabama, and then you have a crack at a couple SEC superpowers like Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. There's going to be a lot of onus, I think, on Nebraska in the next month to figure out the best lineup, the best pitching rotation, so you can hit the ground running and really get off to a good start for this season.
February 17th, the first game for Husker baseball. 30 days out. Crazy that we are already at that point. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, thanks for joining us as always on Wednesdays. Thanks for your time. We hope to talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe out there.
You too. That's, again, Evan Bland. Check his work out at omaha.com. When we come back, we have the crossover. DP and Jay Believe are in the building. We'll chat some Husker hoops, see what else the guys have going on Old School when we get back.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts, guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Lincoln. Hopcat is your pregame headquarters for basketball and volleyball all season long. Hopcat is located at 6th and P in the Haymarket. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
This is Megan Whitaker from the Nebraska golf team. If you've put your clubs away for the winter, it's time to get them back out. There's no need to stop thanks to Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle is home to Lincoln's best indoor golf simulators. It's perfect for every level of golfer, with everything from casual games for the kids to hyper-realistic simulations of some of the best courses in the world. And the best part, no matter what the weather's doing outside, it's always golf weather inside. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Black, Professional Realtor Group, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Biker with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
Mike Shaver here for Trek CBD. It's basketball season, and that means you're fighting cold weather and snow to get to the arena, waiting for lines at the game, and yelling too much at the refs. Trek CBD has a variety of products to help calm me down during the game so I don't go over the top. And they have a variety of options to calm down before, during, and after any game. Whether you're looking for drinkable Delta 8 seltzers, hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups for your beverages, or anything else, Trek CBD has it all at 84th and Andrew. Trek CBD done.
Hey guys, Nick Sadert here, and I want to tell you about my friends at Spine and Sports Chiropractic. I experienced a herniated disc in my lower back a few years ago, and thanks to the folks at Spine and Sports, I got back to feeling 100%. At Spine and Sports, they use the active release technique, which involves the soft tissue and can alleviate headaches, shoulder pain, plantar fasciitis, and more. What I like most about the ART method is that your doctor will construct a plan that fits your needs because the technique is not a cookie-cutter approach. Allow Spine and Sports Chiropractic to help you feel better. Set up your appointment today by giving them a call at 402-261-6841.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides. Shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealership, is searching for technicians of all skill levels to grow with us. Landmark offers a competitive wage, full benefits package with 100% paid employee health insurance, paid time off, paid parental and bereavement leave, an annual recreation bonus, and a boot and clothing allowance. Landmark offers the latest certified John Deere training so you're up to date with the newest equipment and technology. Interested in becoming a part of the Landmark difference? Apply now at landmark.careers. Landmark Implement is an equal opportunity employer.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
A winter storm warning will be in effect throughout the day as areas of sleet and freezing rain will be possible this morning, changing over to snow by this afternoon. Totals could approach 6 inches around the capital city. We'll see steady temps in the upper 20s to near 30 degrees. Snow will linger into tonight with lows falling off to around 20. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now back to in Austin.com.
Final segment on the block here on a beautiful Wednesday. Well, something like that. It's a day God made, so it's a beautiful day. But it's snowy. It's sleety. Be careful out there. Heard a lot of accidents, a lot of slippery spots. If you're going to drive, be on the main roads as much as you can. But if you're in your cars, thanks for dialing us up here at 93.7 The Ticket. If you're at home, thanks for dialing us up as well. You can find us Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers live video stream. One segment left here. You can still chime in on the Sartor Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. I'm Austin Norman. My co-host, the man of the show, Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA veteran Eric Strickland. We're not alone this segment. We welcome in DP and Jay, the old school crew. Guys, we spent most of the show talking Nebraska basketball. A big doubleheader tonight, the men at home against Ohio State, women on the road at Purdue. My question is, what the heck? Why are they making us pick? Why are two games tipping off at the same time? What's wrong with them?
Is that the Big Ten conspiracy again? Getting after us, like a little parting shot. But
I didn't say it. You said it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe it's a sleepy night when they make the schedules, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't expect Nebraska to be, I guess at times playing this well, and then they figured the women would have been a little bit far ahead. So let's just put them both on there. But it's a sleepy night in Lincoln. Strict. So this is, as I always say, when you have to go to like bootleg towns or cities, on the road, Purdue, West Lafayette and those type of places, sometimes going out to Rutgers, for the football team play on a Friday, I'm sure Ohio State probably got in last night or sometime yesterday. It's been gray for the last 2 days. All you hear about is the snow and sleet's coming. They probably want to get back to Columbus, and but then you can mess around, just bop them over the head real quick.
That's what it sounds like to me, Jay. Those are always the possibilities. You just lull the team to sleep and lull them to sleep with a dreary day outside, and then all of a sudden you come in. But it's going to take Nebraska having to jump on them, though. They're going to have to come out and yeah, you don't want to come out and then let them kind of slowly get into a groove. You want to be lathered up. You want to be ready to roll as soon as the tip happens, and then hopefully you can sustain it. But we'll see. I wish I could get down there.
Provide your own juice, Strick. You got to provide your own juice tonight. That crowd is not going to be. It's not going to be maximum density. It's not going to be with the best energy. It's a weird time. It's a 6 o'clock tip, which means in a cloudy, slushy, sleety day, you're going to have to get there early. The people are going to be dressed different. They're not going to be comfortable. They'll be worried. They'll have their phones on to see what the roads are like and making sure all the business that they left unhandled, loose ends. You got to check in on all that stuff. And they'll have the opportunity to come in, set it on fire, get it started early, and say, hey, thanks for coming. We're going to party. Rather than thanks for coming, help us get it started.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that sentiment, DP. I think, that's again, this is the thing I go back to when you talk about getting it started. The style of play right now is not conducive for you to get it started. The style of play right now is conducive for you to stay in a game. You might be standing for a few minutes because you're going to be defensive oriented. Unless you get a steal and you get a dunk at the other end by somebody, it's going to be pretty quiet. That's why I think the style of play, they need to give themselves just some opportunities to not only amp the crowd, but whatever crowd that's going to be there to amp themselves up. You know what I mean? There's nothing like a team. Gosh, I mean, that was back when I used to dunk, Jay. I got into the NBA and I didn't dunk no more. I just ran down and got a little layup and was like, cool, let me go back, get ready for this defensive segment. I was like, it's 2 points. You know what I'm saying? Back in college, you like, shoot, I'm trying to put Showtime on. I'm trying to put somebody in the rim. But yeah, that's kind of how it changed for me. But it does change the effect of how the game is going.
Yeah, I listened to you on the way in. I think a good thing for him is try to, change or add a little bit of a run out segment into their game. And it could even be where you go even a little bit more deeper in the bench because, you got some guys that offensively might not be where they need to be, but defensively, if they can be a energy factor, right, and take the pressure off of, say, Sam Greasel to really be into defense on one of their players, or Bandamel, and then they can come in and be that, and then get some early runouts. That'll get the crowd going. It'll get the team going. Because what people don't understand is when the bench players or the guys that normally don't play, and everybody's points or everybody's minutes should elevate, with Gary out, right? You just kind of go up the bench because he's out. Then if you're the 8th guy, you automatically go to 7th. Is that energizes the guys the guys that are on the bench, and energizes the coaches, it energizes the secondary staff, it energizes obviously the whole crowd. And if you can do that early, and especially with Ohio State, oddly enough, I think me and you, Strick, talked about it when I saw you, is Rutgers is the team in the Big Ten. After you play them, I'm going to start watching teams after they play them. And I always love Michigan State because I always think they're super physical and then super skilled. Rutgers is up to date, and I've watched, I always watch college basketball. They are the most physical team that I've seen yet to date. Now, I haven't seen every team, so I can't say, whatever, but from the amount of college basketball that I've watched, which is pretty decent amount, they are the most physical team that I've seen play. And so Rutgers, obviously played Ohio State into overtime. Now, I know, look, they have great, trainers and stuff like that to recover, but it's something it does to you mentally, the way that Rutgers played them. And I saw them affect Ohio State down the stretch. And me and you talked offline, Strick, or face-to-face, is if Nebraska took a little bit of that mentality, like I'm going to Detroit Pistons bad boy you a little bit, right? But then also try to get some easy buckets. And then you can kind of, have your, I guess, quote unquote, superstars or your main known guys, Derek Walkers, the Greasels, the Bandamels. And then if it's Tamanaga or CJ, because they kind of seem like they switch off every game or two, one of those guys. And then you get Wilhelm, then you can kind of let those guys eat a little bit, right? So you want to be able to see if you can got some guys that you can kind of push to the test in practice. This is what I need from you, Strick. Okay. I want you to be aggressive. I don't want no ignorant fouls, but I want every foul to count. I want you to come off the bench and set the tone. Then, therefore, you can kind of disperse your energy to the other guys and let them try to put the ball in the hoop.
Strick, let's pause for ID, and we'll let you get back at it.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
So, DP, here's what I just took. And we can track this going back further, but I just took the last 2 days. And I made this statement. Outside of the Purdue-Michigan State game, which was a battle, Zach Edey had half of their points at 32 and 17. And another guy that I feel that if Nebraska had someone similar to like a Tyson Walker, that style that they're trying to play could be a little bit better, because you can rely that he would be able to get you one, whether it be for himself or it be for someone else. Just the last 2 days, I'm just going to throw this out. Other than the Purdue and Michigan State game, Miami, 82. Charleston, number 18. Miami, 17th ranked. Charleston, 18th ranked, 82. Florida Atlantic, 76. Then you go on to Tuesday night's game, top 25. Houston, number 1 in the country, 80. Kansas State and the Kansas game. It was an overtime game, but nonetheless, they were still in that 70 range, so forth and so on. Alabama, number 4, 78. Iowa State beating Texas, 78. Tennessee, number 9, 70. Wake Forest clipping Clemson, 87. And Baylor, number 21, beat Texas Tech with 81. I said this all along. I said Nebraska, in order to have consistent success, has to be in that 75 with the defense that they play to the upper 70s to put themselves in with a chance to win outside of the games that they have, like similar to Iowa, where they defensively just play phenomenal and Iowa just shoots terrible. That's the way that they have to win. How can they do that? They have to push pace. They can't continue to walk the ball up, expect to get enough shots, expect to be able to beat teams that are hitting normal shots. This team shoots 39% from three, 47. They're one of the most top 5 efficient teams in the country. If you don't stop them defensively, you're going to have to score, and I just don't see it. And that's where I'm kind of, having a little bit of tension about, how the rest of the season's going to go, because I'm still seeing the same pattern, and they just don't shoot the ball well enough, and then they're not getting easy opportunities. So therefore, they're going to struggle, and they're only going to get to the 60s, and they're not going to win continuously with that.
Well, I mean, Strick, the numbers line up, and it's clear. In every win for the Huskers this season, they were plus 70.
Yeah.
Every win.
Except Iowa, 66-50.
Well, but again, and the anomaly in a space where both teams are defensively elite and playing at that level, and neither team shoots well. So if Nebraska shoots, and in how they attack the rim. So if they are back cutting for buckets, count the back cut buckets.
Yes.
Right. So you pass to the wing, and then I hate calling it give and go, but it's really kind of a version of it. But the back cuts with Walker, folks cutting off a Walker, feeding Walker at the free throw line, he turns, faces up, and dishes to a back cut for an easy bucket. Those buckets are the difference between 60 points and 75 points for Nebraska. 5 of those buckets in the course of a game changes the number from 60 to 72. And it also changes the shooting percentage. It also changes the shooting percentage at 3 because you're getting better buckets in paint. Also, Nebraska has a dominant defensive big, whether they're going to attack glass or attack the rim, and they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. Right. Going in to punch somebody and finish rather than being a sensitive touch around the rim, sometimes that sensitive touch will work. But sometimes, in the Big Ten especially, bigs have to be finished on in order to get them out of the way, right?
Facts.
It puts them in foul trouble, sends you to the free throw line, changes the pace of the game, and then makes help defenders have to commit one way or the other.
Facts.
So in that space, if they make Ohio State foul them, and I don't mean those run after 3 fouls, and I'm not talking about those scramble on the floor fouls. I'm talking about I'm going to put my knee in your chest foul. Right? Are they willing to take
Trey McGowan's bang on your head type fouls?
Right? That look, I'm going to make you stop me. I'm going to make you stop me rather than me worried about being altered or disrupted.
Right? Yeah. No, this ain't the game. And Ohio State's a physical team too, so don't let's not forget that. So this isn't a game to try to be fancy. This is a game.
Cuter, get your beat.
When you jabbing or you rip, you raising and ripping or whatever it is to get to that hole, you can't come and look for contact. Contact is known that's going to come in the Big Ten is contact. So don't look for it. Concentrating on finishing. I'm a big believer with their big guy up there. And Ohio State is notoriously never. Greg Oden was 7 foot tall, but they usually have a guy between 6'8" and at the most 6'10". Right. Thicker guys, right? And you see their guard. I think he's number 1, man. He looked like a little fullback.
Yeah, likely 6'5", 220.
Right. Even the guy last year, he was like a little tight end. He looked like Antonio Gates with a big old junk in the trunk, a high booty on his back. But the thing is, you got to get into these guys' chests. Any type of shot blocker, any type of big guy, you got to get into his chest to alleviate to any type of height advantage or shot blocking ability. And if you do that, and again, if you bring guys off the energy guys where they're attacking the glass, it'll bode well, and it will actually not wear out Greasel, Bandamel, even D-Walk. It'll actually free you up on offense and let
free Oling.
Free the guy. Hey, Oleg's one of the guy I'm talking to. You come in, listen here, man. You from where's he from?
Lithuania.
Lithuania. You know what time it is? Clothesline. With at the
end
of the day.
Use your fouls. You
drop that Dusty Rose bionic elbow dead on his head and deal with it after.
The real people's elbow.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, let me ask you this. I truly believe Goggles punked the center from Creighton. In his physical play, whether it was mixing it up a la Kurt Rambis, a little bit of Kevin McHale, Bill Lambier, it took the heart of Creighton, right? And really Bradenbach has taken off since then, just kind of incrementally, kind of like starting to play a little bit better, right? And getting his, I always say getting his sea legs back. Now, if Oleg comes in And whether he gets in a tussle, now if he does get in the game, I don't know if Fred gonna get in them game. You know, I don't, Fred. I hope if you listen to the ticket, man, you gotta get him a couple minutes, brother. Come on, man. Now if he gets in the game and he gets a big rebound or a 50-50 ball,
a tip
or something,
altered shot.
All jokes aside, I always talk about free Oleg. That's how you turn the tide of the momentum. That's how you take control of the game. In these type of games where you don't have the guy that's always your energy guy with Gary, you need 3 or 4 guys to replace that one, and they can do it. Now guys just have to embrace doing it. Don't come out there worried about you shooting threes because your job ain't to shoot threes.
Yeah. Before we get out of here and turn it over to old school, DP, I threw this out there earlier, and I think it's something that they should try. The only one on that team to me, outside maybe Jamarcus, the only one that really has the capability of creating space and making people pay and has the handle ability to do it is Tamanaga.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I would get Vandermill off the ball. I would put Tamanaga on the ball, and I would let him run the sets and let him run the pick and rolls and let him run some of those, because he's good with his European play of knowing how to keep guys on his hip. Chris Paul crossover, get to the other side, see what's happening, and drop. I'm still a little bit leery about his past decisions, but he has the capability of floaters. He has the capability of mid-range, which I haven't seen yet from Vandermill to be consistent in. I would do that because you're not getting it from any other avenue right now, out beside maybe Jamarcus.
Well, I think Ohio State's the perfect night for whoever you start, but that the minutes go to that 5 of Tamanaga, Vandermill, Griesel, whoever you use in the other spot, and Walker, CJ. Because in those spaces, CJ gives you another shooter, and he gives you defensive awareness. Now he's a step away sometimes, but that's what happens in the Big Ten. What you can do with Tamanaga is if he gets his 26 minutes and has double-digit shots, Nebraska has a chance to win tonight. Like that, because he's a grown-up scorer.
You got to make him, though.
Well, he's a grown-up scorer. Well, but he's the best shooter. So if I'm going to take my shots, I want my best shooter taking the most shots. Like,
he's the best guy that can create space, too, DP. He's the only one that can create an opportunity for somebody else right now that I've seen.
Well, he draws heat. So no matter when Tamanaga's on the floor,
y'all different than me, man.
He's got a different. Well, I want my best scorer to have the most opportunities.
I feel you on that, but Derek Walker is still their best player.
No doubt.
But if I'm one of them cats I'm on scholarship, and you ain't talking about me being able to create space. See, I just don't understand this, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Let me tell you something.
Yes,
That's one thing to do. I could create space, and I'm going to put that bucket and a ball in the hole. How are you playing at a Division I school and you can't create space?
Other guys on scholarship too.
And you got a legitimate big man that can actually control it where you can move.
But a lot of this is in space in the system that they're running.
Yeah.
The system that you're running.
Strick could tell you. I put 15 on him in intramurals one time.
You want it. you want it orchestrated. But Tamanaga getting shots on runners helps the team.
Yeah,
it helps this team
from depth too. See, here's where I do agree with you. I'm thinking about it now. Tamanaga controlling the offense, not controlling it, but having the ball in his hand. Actually, weird enough, closer to half court. Will pay dividends, right? Whereas you look at last year, Verge was really, did his damage at the 3-point line. I didn't like the space. That's why I kind of looked junky sometimes, right? Yeah. Against good defensive teams, he couldn't dipsy-do up in there. But Tamanaga with space, then he goes right back into 3-on-3 Olympics because that's what you're doing. You're eliminating 2 of the defenders just by proximity.
Bucket getter.
Well, yeah, and then also I said it earlier in the season when they had their kind of non-conference. Tamanaga has worked on his right hand and getting to the bucket. And so whatever he did in the offseason has worked because he can go to the rack both hands now. Remember last year, he's real left-hand dominant, really one side of the court. Now he's a factor on both sides of the court.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm going to turn it over, Austin, to you because that was really the points that I wanted to get done.
Amen. Good show here on the block. Back at it again
Bucket
tomorrow from 2 to 4. Big thanks to
Bucket.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul for sponsoring the show. Don't go
Thank you,
anywhere.
District.
We'll keep Jay and DP here in studio for Old School. For Strick, I'm Austin. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Old School comes up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey guys, this is Lindsay Teal from Nebraska golf team. Imagine golfing the best courses in the world. St. Andrews, Pebble Beach, Southern Hills. The best of those courses and more with Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle has the city's best golf simulators, 5 high-quality